Hello. I have a hot take for you right now. Not everything in the cloud is ephemeral. There are Snowflake servers. There are EC2 instances out there that cannot go away. There are your on-premises servers, your Raspberry Pis, your laptop sitting above your head. You may even have an Apple device to manage. What if I told you there's a part of AWS Systems Manager that can help you work with all of those things in a relatively straightforward single pane of glass way? So today, I have Andrew here with me live on stream to discuss a lovely little feature coming from AWS Systems Manager, another manager called Fleet Manager. That's a lot of managers. So my name is Darko, and I'm your friendly local developer advocate. And today I have Andrew Pearce here with me. And Andrew, do let us know who you are, what do you do, and why should we care?
Yeah, hi. So I'm Andrew Pearce. I'm a senior systems development engineer at AWS. I joined about 5 years ago from Australia. So my background's all Windows automation. So lots of PowerShell, lots of clicking your mouse, lots of writing PowerShell code to automate stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's been my world for pretty much my entire career.
PowerShell was my first coding love. I was a big fan when I switched over from VB script to PowerShell. So
Yes.
big fan. So today we're going to be talking about this lovely little feature called Fleet Manager. What problems does it solve? How do you use it? How does it work? And Andrew here is going to show us a sweet demo. So Andrew, the big question of the day. I kind of alluded this in my little open here, but what why Fleet Manager? What problems does this thing solve here?
Yes, like IT infrastructure today is just so diverse, right? Companies have Windows, they've got Linux, they're running in the cloud, they're running on premises, they're in all sorts of different hardware. Networks getting global and complex, and the management tooling hasn't always kept up to that. Trying to manage systems in very diverse parts of the world or behind firewalls, it's a challenge. And then we also see like lots of people are moving to modernize their environments. They're moving from Windows to Linux. Lots of Windows administrators
Okay.
are used to that sort of point and click history,
Yeah.
and they lose that a lot of the times moving to Linux because the management tools may not have kept up. So really, we're trying to make it easier for them of giving them a standard sort of environment. They can use their traditional point and click happiness
Yeah.
to sort of manage systems no matter where they are and no matter what platform they're running.
That's a fair point. Like, so I come from also a Windows background, and I've started maintaining all the Windows systems out there, and I've group policy objects and all those stuff was my thing. Troubleshooting them, you have your Microsoft MMC, the management consoles,
Yep.
which work great. But then you enter some a Linux flavor into your world, or some EC2 instances, or even an Apple machine, and then all of a sudden your entire toolchain breaks because you need something else for that. So my understanding that this thing can help me with that.
Yeah, so we're really trying to make that easier for you. Looking at you don't need to RDP to your machine anymore. You don't need to open up those firewall ports. All these capabilities have existed in Systems Manager for a while with Run Command and Sessions Manager, but really we're trying to bring that sort of management and troubleshooting experience in where you can perform those common admin tasks and do that from a common environment within the console as well. So there's no sort of custom installation things over and above the SSM agent and things you may already have even running.
So in the current state of things, like let's speak about before Fleet Manager or even Systems Manager was a thing. You would have multiple sets of tools. You would have to RDP into stuff, automating things through scripts. Scripts are great, right? But sometimes you would like to have this lovely single interface that can help you out with that. So how does Fleet Manager actually solve this thing? Throws out the need for multiple different tools and RDPs and SSHs.
Yeah, so we're trying to bring that sort of common environment into the AWS console. So
Okay.
you can, from the console, look at a Windows machine, look at a Linux machine. You can browse their file systems, tail log files, look at the Windows registry. Gets those high-level performance counters that you would normally see like in your task manager of Windows and bring them and expose them into the console. Or users and groups as well. Like, so you can go and look at what groups are on your machine, what members are in those groups. Just some of those really common tasks that people are doing all the time, but can be challenging when you have to RDP to a box, or to the point of before, like if you're a Windows guy having to manage Linux, you now need to figure out how do I SSH the machine? What bash commands do I use to find these things?
Yeah. And we all like to talk about, hey, GitOps and you're doing everything in an automatic way. But thanks to the laws of entropy, not everything is like that all the time. Sometimes you have to have this manual intervention, and I'll be honest, like I've actually had a chance to play with Fleet Manager before this entire stream. I'm a person who enjoys Systems Manager, so hey, I get a chance to play with a new service, of course. So I did play around with a bit. So I did find like those things you said. Hey, you can browse files, you can do specific administrative tasks from the comfort of your not command line, but your browser interface. I'm sorry. So it is helping a lot, especially because like I told you back in the day, I used to maintain Windows and Linux and all the stuff. I made custom tooling for myself just so I can manage different environments, and that was not fun. Not so, not one bit. And and also one thing to note is that Fleet Manager is not a new service, right? It's not out of like with a little
Yeah.
asterisk here, right? It is, but
Yeah.
it uses a lot of existing things out there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So in Fleet Manager, you'll find it the standard console when you first see it. It's the managed instances page historically. I'd say it's that same view you'd be used to seeing.
Okay.
We're using a lot of tools that have existed for a long time. Run Command has been out since 2015. Sessions Manager was launched in 2018. So we're using these same technologies that have existed within AWS for quite some time, and just sort of building a really nice interface over the top of that to be able to perform these actions for you without introducing something new to your environment.
Got it. So how does this actually? Let's say you mentioned Session Manager. What does it do with Session Manager in this case? Like,
Yeah, so when you want to tailor file or view a file content, performing performance counters so we can do more real-time
okay,
sort of communications to get the data back faster. Or from a security perspective, if you need to create a user with a password, we want to do that in a terminal session. So you're typing directly on the machine rather than needing to transport that back and forth in a different way. And so when we use Sessions Manager, we do need it to be encrypted. And so we do require a key management service key to encrypt that session. So that is sort of a prerequisite
okay,
for those features. But that's not needed for the run command sort of interface that we use for other things.
okay. That's cool. But okay. Let me try to let me allow you to take me through an adventure. So I am your fledgling Fleet Manager user. I just started. I have a bunch of systems. As I said, I have my Linux, I have my Apple, I have my couple of EC2 instances, Windows, Linux, all the things are on there. How does one start? How do I actually do something, and what is the first thing that I need to do?
Yeah, so the first thing we require is an SSM agent to be installed. The Systems Manager agent, this is pre-installed in many EC2 instances. And you can install it on an on-premises machine and run inside that hybrid fashion as well. With the agent, there needs to be IAM policies required. So your system needs specific IAM policies to be able to work with the correct services within AWS. And then obviously the key management service for encryption for that Sessions Manager feature. The instance needs a certain set of permissions, which are documented in the documentation, and the user needs that set of permissions to be able to invoke the commands that need to happen as well. So it's sort of a two layers of security there, of the system having certain access and then the user needing things as well.
Interesting. But does this actually mean that if I already have instances being managed by Systems Manager, I can already start using Fleet Manager?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, if you've got systems running today that are available as a managed instance,
Okay.
you can go ahead today and use it.
That's pretty neat. Yeah. So, hey, if you ever wanted to see how to start using Fleet Manager, just open up your console. It's probably there, and you can already start using it. So that's pretty cool. But how do you see the use case here for customers? How do you see them actually starting to use Fleet Manager, or how will they use Fleet Manager?
So I think a lot of the common use cases we've seen are things like troubleshooting, where maybe you've got a system that may not be running as you'd expect, and so a lot of the common tasks from an admin would be, I'd RDB to my box, I'd open up Task Manager and look at the CPU and am I seeing CPU bound or memory bound. I'd probably need to go and look at log files, so either Windows events or a flat file log of an IIS log or a Cloud Init log on Linux. Or now what I'd want to go and browse the files and look at these logs and see what's happening on them. And so trying to expose them in that sort of manner of, I can go and do that in the console today. I don't necessarily have to pre-install some agent and live stream logs somewhere. Like I can just go and troubleshoot a system without needing to do a whole lot of work, because to your point, a lot of these things might already exist in my environment. Just making that sort of easier to get in there and get to the machine and look at things.
But in essence, right, so if your instance is already managed by Systems Manager, there's no overhead. You don't have to do anything extra on this just to have this feature enabled, right?
Correct. Yeah. The only thing you may need to do is configure the encryption on the sessions manager for those
Okay,
features.
yeah,
Other than
yeah.
that, everything should be, mostly there.
I think that's also a big value, right? So it's you may not need to all the time troubleshoot systems, and hopefully you don't, right? But when you need it, it's there. This is the kind of your window into a big fleet of machines, hence the fleet manager that helps you troubleshoot things. Because again, we all like to say, oh, it's all ephemeral. We just remove it and do this. Sometimes you cannot. Sometimes things have to exist for a long time. So. That is pretty cool. And now, you and I kind of had the chat before, and I kind of complained that it's only available through the web console. But then you told me CLI. You can do something through the CLI.
Yeah, so it's sort of the point that we're using run command and sessions manager to make these calls to your machine to sort of get the data off to present in the console. Those documents are available for public as well. So under the prefix of AWS Fleet Manager, you'll find all of the systems manager documents that we are using to communicate to your systems from the console. So you're free to go and use them with send command yourself if you want to integrate these actions into your own automation workflows.
So yeah, in essence, Fleet Manager uses a lot of the built-in features from Systems Manager, correct?
Yeah. I mean, the interface is not a new AWS API. It's not anything in the SDK per se, but it's available there as a systems manager document. So you can go and invoke them like you would any of the other documents.
A lot of power coming from that systems manager thing. So that's pretty cool. So tell me about the things we can do. So you mentioned something like tailing files. You mentioned event logs. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can browse the file system across Windows, Linux, macOS. You can preview files up to about 10,000 lines in the console for the first 10,000 of file, or you can tail the file so that you get that real-time streaming of the file. You can look at Windows event logs, so that sort of event viewer interface brought into the console. Windows registry management, so browsing, creating keys, setting values. Performance counters, so those high-level CPU disk counters, but from the inside of the guest. So as opposed to EC2 metrics, which are from the host perspective, they're from in your guest. And then user and group management. So local users, local groups, membership local groups, you can view and adjust those.
See, that's very cool because, for example, I have a bunch of Raspberry Pis, and CloudWatch agents do not work on Raspberry Pis, right? So it was very difficult to ship that information from my Raspberry Pi to CloudWatch to have a local like performance counters on my Raspberry Pi. But with this, you can, because it actually looks at the raw data or very close to raw data from the Raspberry Pi itself, from the OS level. So that is also pretty cool. I like that. And registry operations. So anybody who has ever had to maintain a lot of Windows servers, registry keys are kind of the thing what you have to troubleshoot with. You would most likely not configure an instance by changing the registry key manually, but if you have to troubleshoot things, a lot of times it involves changing registry keys. And RDP is nice, but sometimes you just cannot RDP to things. So
it just simplifies that. You can go and browse the registry and look at what's going on. And because it's all systems manager backed, you can add policies to prevent, to provide support people read access or provide administrators write access. It's all available through IAM policies, so you can give that different capabilities to different people as well.
So that perfect for operations teams. Like operations teams can have this direct access to some of the instances and the things you may manage, the managed instances directly from this, then and can perform troubleshooting. Great.
Yeah.
Speaking of great things, I've heard that you're going to do a demo.
Yes, let's do it.
So let's pop it on the screen right now. So, there it is. Systems Manager.
All right.
All right. So Fleet Manager. Oh, on the left-hand side.
Yeah. So I'm obviously here in the Systems Manager console. So Fleet Manager is available under Node Management. So this is sort of your list of instances on your machine, the list of managed instances, I should say, because this can cover both EC2 and on-premises.
Okay.
And so I'm going to go into the Linux machine first and sort of show the file exploration. So from inside my machine here, I can see the new tools on the left. So these are the new sort of features we're exposing. And so for Linux, obviously we're not exposing a Windows registry for a Linux machine because it doesn't make a lot of sense. But we can go to the file system here and start sort of browsing through my file system. So
Oh, interesting.
I'm going to come into a log file in var log. And so let's say I was adding something to Cloud Init, and my Cloud Init logs were, it wasn't doing what I expected. So I can come into my log file and I can go and look at that Cloud Init log and see what it's doing. So it's Cloud Init output, kind of actions, and you can see preview as text. Okay. So if I open that up, it will open up and I can see the content of that file right here in the console.
That's pretty. Can you download the file?
So not directly today. So I mean, you could highlight the text to get it out. We don't have a direct download capability as of now.
Okay.
The other thing we can do though is we can tail a file, and so this would show the file in real time. And so I've actually got another session open to the machine, and I'm just going to add content to this file to it. And so as I add content, it kind of just appears, which is pretty cool too. So if you're trying to real-time troubleshoot something, you can tail this log file and just see it updating in real time.
And we all know that the best real-time troubleshooting tool is tail. So,
of course,
tail is the ability to show things in a file as they're being added. So I have used it as many times as possible. Good.
And so we do that across Windows as well. So that tailing is there on Windows or Linux.
That's pretty
and
cool.
Mac OS too.
Yeah. So you cannot upload files. You cannot download files directly, right? Okay.
No.
Yeah. It's important to know that.
So. Yeah, absolutely. And so the next thing sort of to quickly walk through is the Windows registry. So if we come back to the top level page.
Before we go to the Windows registry, just a quick question. In what context, on which user does this thing run the files, like the viewing of the files as? Yeah,
so it runs as the standard systems manager agent. If your agent is configured as local system or root, those would be used for the, querying of the file system. For the viewing of a file, it would use Sessions Manager. And so that would use SSM user by default, but that can be configured by the user if they want that to be a lockdown user or someone else.
Okay, that's all.
And so if we come into a Windows machine, we can actually jump straight there. So under Instance Actions, we sort of list out these new tools, and so we can jump straight into the registry pane here.
Ooh, there we go.
And so this is your standard Windows registry you'd expect, and we make those calls to the machine. And so every time I'm clicking here, we're making that run command call, we're getting the data back to present. And then we can come in here and create a key. So create a Windows registry key here. So this will run the command on the machine, and then once it's finished, sort of reload the page automatically to bring that up. And the new one we can see at the top here. Mm-hmm. And so as you'd expect, you can come in there and create or update values within the registry.
I love the fact that this is all using run command in the back. Now, run command is just the ability to execute arbitrary commands or documents against the operating system. And I love that it's using that completely transparently and, it doesn't get in your way, right? So I like that.
Yeah, and of course, sort of as mentioned before, right, because these are run command documents, people can use these in their own automation if they wanted to. So you're not limited to the console. We're exposing it here, but you can also, if you need these in your own automation, you can go and use them directly, which is really nice as well.
You're welcome. There we go. That's pretty cool. Awesome. What's your favorite registry key?
Not Microsoft / Windows Update. Anything to do with the Windows updating causes me pain.
I've changed those Windows Update keys so many times. So yes, I was hoping you were going to say that. So there you go. So show me else what this puppy can do. Yeah.
So we can also sort of look at this counter. So this is one of the first points of call that someone would make when they're trying to troubleshoot a system. You want to see, are you using lots of CPU? And I'm obviously not using much CPU at all.
Oh, so this is real time. This is real time. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So every sort of 5 seconds, you'll see this update. So from disk or network traffic or memory usage. So we're exposing these ones today, and just that high level, what's my system doing? The memory usage, I think, is a really good one here. Because this is in-guest data. This is not things that are exposed through the EC2 metrics.
Yes,
they're from the host level. So this is a really nice one that we can get in that from inside your guest, so you can see what's going on.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, because one of the first things you will try to do when troubleshooting, somebody calls you up, hey, my website is down. First thing you'll do this and reach to the instance and see what's happening directly on it. So pretty cool, pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I've remote desktop to a machine and open up Task Manager to see CPU at 100%, or it's the first point of call that you generally make. So having it here in the console just simplifies that and makes it really easy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I see some Windows event logs. Can we see that as well?
Yeah. So you come to Windows event logs, and the first thing we get is a list of event logs on your system.
Okay.
So you could click through and browse from this way, or I can type something in. We basically love PowerShell, so let's go in Windows PowerShell. So this is the Windows PowerShell event log on my system.
Okay.
And we can come in here and look at the details of events with the full event available, exposable by JSON, so I could copy that and stick it somewhere else if I needed to. But we can also filter. Oh, nice. That was fun.
We got another.
But we can also filter as well. So we can filter by event IDs. We have a 400 there in my screen, so we can do a 400 here. And this will go and make a call and do the filtering and bring it back, just the filtered sets of data.
Hey, this is a better event viewer than the Windows one. I've been struggling with the Windows one a lot of times when you have to do something very concrete. So I like this. I like this. This is pretty neat.
Yeah.
And as you can see, the errors coming up. You can see the run command has failed. Hence, it's using run command. But
yes, I think there's a few things I might have to go and look at after I talk to you.
And you and I have been talking about, so one of the things that I've been flashing around here is my Raspberry Pi Zero, and it doesn't support the Raspberry Pi Zero due to the fact that it's using ARM 6 or something like that, a different version of architecture. But I'm sure that's going to come up at one point. But yeah, cool. Well, this is a pretty interesting demo. So let's actually slowly move towards kind of wrapping this up. I have a couple of questions. Like I've seen like what this thing can do right now. It's very cool. But there's a bunch of other questions I have for you regarding this service. I guess we can move away this screen somehow. Just push it away. Thank you. There we go.
There we go.
So let me try to regurgitate in my own head what does this service do and how does it help you or the customers. It is a lovely little user interface experience for everybody on AWS that wants to manage instances. Now, those instances can be Linux, Windows, or even Mac. And if you want to do some basic troubleshooting tasks, such as reviewing files, looking at log files, performance metrics, resetting user passwords, local user passwords on instances, or even connecting to the instance using Systems Manager, Session Manager, Fleet Manager is this service that can help you do all of those things. So it has ability to access all of your managed instances. The only thing you need to do is set up the KMS encryption for Session Manager, because it uses both Run Command and Session Manager for a lot of these things. Couple of questions for you. When is this available and where?
It's available today or yesterday. Really? So over in the past. So in the Systems Manager console, on the left-hand navigation pane, there's a Fleet Manager link. And so it's all available under there today. It's available in all regions, not China, not GovCloud, but all the other AWS regions, it's there now.
Okay. And even if you go to your if you go to Systems Manager and your little called Managed Instances, it's going to take you to Fleet Manager. So hey, Managed Instances is now Fleet Manager. Big question of the day: multi-account, cross-region?
No.
Not? Okay.
No. We've heard loud and clear. It's definitely on our backlog. So we've definitely heard that from customers already. It's
important to know that. Very good to share that information, because we want to be able to see what kind of limitations we have or not.
Yes.
And last but not least is the pricing. How does the pricing work here?
So like many other things within Systems Manager, it's offered at no additional cost. It is available with a cost for on-premises machines for advanced tier usage. So this would cover, I think it's 1,000 machines, or if you need Sessions Manager against an on-premises machine. But they're all the standard Systems Manager pricing. This is no additional things or anything like that. It's just a standard.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So what would you like to tell to our audience regarding Fleet Manager? How do they get started? Where do they go? And what do they check out?
Yeah, so definitely check it out. If you have those situations where you need to go and look at a log file or browse a system, definitely go and check it out here first before you RDP to your machine. Hopefully you can get to it faster than you could before. And hopefully we want your feedback too. So if there's tools and things you need that aren't there today, we'd love to hear that feedback, because this is how we drive innovations at Amazon. So we want to hear from everyone out there.
Absolutely. Both Andrew and myself are on Twitter, so if you find something that you wish to be a part of the Fleet Manager or doesn't work, feel free to scream at us. We will likely take your gladly take your feedback and try to work with the lovely folks from the service teams to make this a better service. So in any case, Andrew, thank you very much for this amazing. I wouldn't call it a presentation, but this amazing discussion. I must say, I spoke to Andrew before. I even tweeted about this service before. I like it. I find a lot of use in it. So check it out. Check out AWS Fleet Manager. If you find some use to it as well, I'm sure you will. And Andrew, thank you very much for
Absolutely.
For being here and for answering the questions. And everybody else, please enjoy the rest of the What's Next on AWS. My colleague Dennis is coming up. And enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, Andrew, and have a good day.
Thank you very much. Bye.